Okay, we are live. Let me quickly go to. All right, all right, all right. We are live with legends. And you know what? Unfortunately, in our space, we have used the word legend in an abusive manner. We uh, randomly call people OGs just to kind of, celebrate them. And we want to be cool and we say, oh, you know what? He's an OG. Well, boys and girls, l- ladies and gentlemen, friends of my age, these two gentlemen right here are absolute OGs. The first, we have Uncle Rockstar. If you're wondering why you can't see him and there's a glitch on your screen, no, there's no glitch on your screen. That is his cool avatar. Uncle Rockstar, tell us something.
Hey man, thanks first of all for invitation, and yeah, it's pleasure to be with legends. And listen, I don't believe in legend inflation. We all in Bitcoin that are in Bitcoin, we're all legends, and legendary times are ahead of us. Because imagine in 100 years when people are looking back on what we have been part of, even during these years. Like when we now in 2026 look at what happened in 2009, 10, 11, 12, everyone that participated back then is a legend. So that's how I look in 100 years. People looking back, they're like, oh, you were so early in 2026. So be a legend, spend more time with legends, and let's go. I mean, let's have fun.
Mate from Bitcoin.com. What were you thinking back then to create such an iconic website?
Yeah, I mean it's a funny story to be honest. So I was actually like super busy running my first company bitcoinist.com, which was and actually still is a crypto news site. And then I did an interview with Roger Veer, and so I had his contact information. And so one day, like because I was in the news business, like a news article came up with Roger that he's suing the company, actually OKX at the time, uh, regarding the domain. He was not using the domain, and basically he had an agreement with that exchange, whereas they were able to use the domain and basically just use it as a lead magnet, and drive traffic to their exchange. And what happened was they actually failed to pay for the monthly agreement, and so he sued them. And then he just one day, like, he just turned it off and has said, like, okay, the domain is now no longer forwarding to their site. So I was like, okay, this is an interesting domain, like there is something that could be done. So I reached out to him and I met with him, and I proposed that, I have some ideas, and why don't we set up a news site, and why don't we set up this and that. And he was like super open about it, and he said, like, okay, why don't you do it. And we started to work together. I was employee number one, and slowly but surely we built out the whole company with a lot of products and services back in the day. Full disclosure, like I'm no longer part of the company, and I'm no longer part of the management. Don't run day to day. But eventually I'm still a co-founder, and I built up the company and I run the company for about 5 or 6 years. So very, very exciting time, and I learned a lot. We did some great things, but we also did some bad things too.
I actually, if I could jump in, I'm quite curious to hear in 2017 when that decision was made that Bitcoin.com has BCH as the Bitcoin. Like anything that you can share about those times, because as a observer back then that didn't have nearly as much presence on, like I was mostly on Reddit. Oh, I was so upset when that happened.
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
okay. Wait. Before you guys do it, I'm so sorry. Before you guys do it, I've sent you guys a link of the live. Go ahead, share it with the audience. Let's bring in more people. Let's bring it in, let's bring in
okay.
interesting questions, and let's get it all fired up exactly like Uncle Rockstar's background.
Oh, okay. So let me just do this right now.
Yes.
I have sent it on my X, tweeted. So hopefully more people are just going to come and listen to it. Um, yeah, cool. Okay, so and now getting back to the question. So for those of you who don't know what exactly happened, so in 2013 there was a fork in Bitcoin because
17.
20 sorry
17.
oh yeah sorry it's what 2017 there's a fork because people did not agree in regards to Bitcoin's block size. The big blockers eventually wanted bigger blocks than 1 megabyte, and the small blockers wanted to keep it as it was. And more importantly, it was like I believe that like the main reason why it happened is because Adam Back was at the time really was pushing his agenda in regards to the Lightning Network, and so it seemed that there would be a consensus with the Hong Kong agreement, but then that fell apart. And so there was a guy called Armory Sachet and maybe another developer who basically said, okay, screw it, we're just going to fork Bitcoin and we're going to create another version of Bitcoin and call it Bitcoin Cash, which will have bigger blocks. And it's very important, like Bitcoin.com didn't fork Bitcoin, Roger Ver didn't fork Bitcoin, someone else did. So this group of people forked Bitcoin, and we just decided to basically back it and say that we believe that this is now what Satoshi originally envisioned in his white paper, meaning Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And looking back in terms of like what we did with Bitcoin.com, calling Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core, like that was a terrible mistake, and I truly regret it. I wasn't the CEO at the time of the company. At the company, I was the COO. So basically, I was being told what to do, but like I'm not trying to find excuses. Like I still did what I was asked to do, and I should not have done those things, and I regret that. But I think it's also part of like someone's I guess someone's growth to be able to reflect and say, okay, I made a mistake at that time. Like at that time, I truly thought that like we needed bigger blocks. I still think we need bigger blocks. But in terms of like how we branded it, how we packaged it, how we communicated towards the world, how we tricked people into into buying Bitcoin Cash that they thought it was Bitcoin, like all those things were wrong. And I have to be upfront to everyone, and I have to acknowledge that that was a bad decision from my end to execute sort of like those orders, and I wish I would have done those things differently, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and there's someone that has participated in the whole debate, not nearly at the level you were involved with Bitcoin.com. Looking back, I like how Bitcoin has this mechanism through proof of work to resolve disputes, because as you say, like you're part of in group at Bitcoin Cash. then another out group member calls you Bcash. Then there are all these online debates. People are upset. Roger with his Carvalho legendary interview says this, does that. I mean, you remember the times, man? It was insane. And this is all bunch of information, bunch of chaos. Things are happening. What why Bitcoin is amazing is it translates all of that into proof of work, and at the end of the day you see where the most proof of work accumulates, and then looking back you can uh, come closer to the truth. You can have information. It's like, okay, I was wrong, let me course correct, go towards what's closer to truth, and then you develop better. So I love that Bitcoin has that mechanism of proof of work, that it goes into consensus, and then we don't need to have physical conflicts or people killing each other, destroying each other's reputations. We just look at proof of work and go with that.
Yeah, although, like, if I may add, like, I still think that, like, on one hand, Satoshi was absolutely a genius in regards to like how he developed this and how he developed the governance model and how developed proof of work. But there is still like a very very big problem when it comes to like Bitcoin governance and how it's like, on one hand it's centralized in regards to the Bitcoin core people and the people who are influencing them and the people who are like sort of funding them to steer the direction of where Bitcoin is going, and particularly talking about Bitcoin implementation protocols, all those features that should be or should not be added to Bitcoin. There are like always some debates like how many updates Bitcoin should have on a yearly basis. But there's one thing for sure: Bitcoin is robust, but that has advantages, but also disadvantages. And so, like, one advantage is that like it is very, very difficult to change anything in Bitcoin, but also a disadvantage is that there are other chains that are really just taking off and using that as an advantage, meaning they have much better things on chain than what Bitcoin has when it comes to blockchain, talking about smart contracts as an example, right? So, and just to give you more on that, like Satoshi in the early days actually put into the Bitcoin protocol 10 lines of code that's called opcat. And so that 10 lines of code of opcat would make Bitcoin programmable. And then Satoshi removed that because he thought it was a little bit too early. And now there is quite a bit of a push for opcat to be enabled, because that make Bitcoin programmable, and it would actually compete with Ethereum. But it's not happening because the Bitcoin core developers are very very slow and they are just
Conservative.
their own agenda.
Yeah, but that's also the thing that is part of the whole proof of work. And I would love, you mentioned Adam Back. Adam Back is very active in the current debate with BIP 110 and what's happening. So,
But the biggest question is he Satoshi?
oh no,
Absolutely not.
No. That's like if you see someone that says, "Oh, Adam Back is Satoshi," you know that that person is a twerp, and you. But you
On
mentioned
that note,
also
Furks is with us, and he told me that everybody in the Bitcoin industry knows that Adam is Satoshi.
no,
No. That's all speculations. But yeah,
Exactly what
what's
you
up,
told me
guys?
in the afternoon call.
Yeah, bro, you're not supposed to make it public. It's okay.
no. See, now he outed himself. But going back to what I was saying, Satoshi had Opcat. Yeah, Satoshi had a poker client in Bitcoin Core. So that was also removed, man. The thing is, Bitcoin Core has an extremely tough job, and it is becoming tougher and tougher because you are writing code that backs now a system worth trillions of dollars. And of course, there will be crazy political games where the 100% truth is not reached from your end, but it's all part of game theory. And if you look at the market cap, Bitcoin was king, is king, will stay king. Ethereum has smart contracts. Sure, Ethereum also has the same fiat exchange rate for last 5+ years. It has an Ethereum Foundation that keeps dumping on the holders to fund the protocol development while they're just running in circles. So, are things perfect in Bitcoin? Absolutely not. But are we progressing and like crushing it? Absolutely. Like we're now back at 80K and everyone is acting like it's a bear market. I saw this when it was $800. I can't wait for Bitcoin to be at 800,000 and people complaining like, oh, it's too bad, it's bear market. Can't wait for that, honestly.
True, true. Guys, for everybody watching us, if you ever get an opportunity to meet Uncle Rockstar, I did get because of Fruits at Bitcoin Mina. You know how people hand out visiting cards? He hands out a dollar bill, a legit dollar bill, but with a seal, right? So that is very interesting. How did he come up with that idea? Can you quickly take us
Just to
through that?
just
Go
to
ahead.
add on to that, I was one of the lucky ones who got a $2 bill from Uncle Rockstar Dev. That's one of the rarest ones. And tell us about the fiat funeral that you do in all these conferences, Uncle Rockstar. Like,
Also,
I mean,
Fruits, I think
I've
one of the
upgraded.
which
I've
pays.
upgraded. See? So this is David Bailey from BTC Inc. I advise
Man,
BTC
I
Inc.
absolutely need one of these in my office.
Oh well, I
Send us a
think the
file.
next bit conference I'm at is BTC Prague, and then I will be at Bitcoin Hong Kong. I'm still seeing some other events I'm invited to, which one I will attend. But no, I have quite few of these, and the thing with business cards, man, I have so much fun with fiat. Look at this one. This one is fun. I had it in a yeah toilet. Put the sheet in because it was a perfect place for that sheet. I got it from Fed, and then where are my business cards?
Well, if
Uh,
someone knows how to ball, it's clearly Uncle Rockstar. Uncle, I
yeah.
need to check with you that you were a part of the BTC Payer server. You
Yes.
did contribute even to Cyberpunk, if I'm not wrong. What originally pulled you in, and what keeps you on, like your building, with your philosophies, and even with the conversation here, it really shows that it's Bitcoin every single fucking day. Like I think you have enough Bitcoin to actually just get the fuck out of here.
Oh, I
And
have zero Bitcoin. No, I'm poor. I'm like I see a guy hold my dollars,
I
they're
think I
burning.
know what happened there. A boating accident.
Exactly. See
There you
this.
go.
I have no idea what the context of the boating accident.
Oh, you
We
don't
gotta
know what
take
that
him.
is?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Tell us,
man.
tell us.
So the boating accident is basically when you're on a boat, you just make a selfie and then the next day you're saying, oh wow, I had a boating accident. Like my keys are gone. All the Bitcoin is gone.
Your hardware wallet fell,
Yeah,
off
the
the deck.
hard the hardware
Yeah,
wallet. Yeah, you actually had the seed phrase with you too. So
yeah. So
that's the
it's
bowling
lost.
incident.
Yeah, but for me, man, the reason why I'm still around because I've been involved with BTC Pay server, but also I've been involved with Strike. Most people actually know Strike way more, because it's a for-profit company than BTC Pay server. And the thing that motivates me is that I am a cypherpunk. I've been cypherpunk before Bitcoin. And then when Bitcoin happened as an accomplishment that cypherpunks have been pursuing as a holy grail for decades, electronic cash was a dream. It was something, oh, if we have it, then that unlocks so many opportunities. And I, as a cypherpunk, continue to be inspired to participate in the ecosystem, especially as I've been now around for 14 plus years actively and more, and try to be a resource. As I'm a Bitcoin uncle, so I'm uncle to all Bitcoiners. And then because I, as now advisor to VC funds, to various Bitcoin companies, I have resources to attend events around the world. I'm invited, covered. I see that as even an obligation to share what I've gone through. Like the fruits of my labor have been immense. So share something of that. As you say, like my business cards. I just get Fed to print me a stack or few stacks, so ones or twos or fives. Next time, that's what I do. Like when you see me first time, I'll give you $1 bill, then $2 bill, then five. So I do that to remind people of the perniciousness of the fiat. And
You know,
yeah.
I need to bring this to everyone's notice that the cyberpunk movement was actually inspired by a professor called David Lee Chum. Now, I've
Yeah.
had the luck to actually sit down with David Chum and have a long conversation in my car while driving from Dubai to Abu Dhabi. And we also have this on a podcast. The podcast is called Roadcast, and I would love to have Uncle Rockstar, Mate, and Fulks on it too. The concept of the podcast is where I drive the car. We have 3 cameras mounted. It's a multicam setup, and we have conversations around love, life, and a bit of work. Uh, when you meet David Chum and you see him, I did see him this year around Satoshi Roundtable in Dubai. When you look at him, you might think that he's some random uncle, but the legend that he is and the pedigree that he has actually created, it's unbelievable. In fact, even people assume or they speculate that Satoshi Nakamoto, either it's one person or a team, we don't know about it, but his team was taught by him. So, in fact, when I asked him this question on the podcast, saying that, "Do you know Satoshi Nakamoto?" He said no comments. Then I asked him, "Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?" And he said no comments. So, moving from there, mate, I need to ask you this: that you have been in the space since 2012, 2013. You have been in mining, you have been in media with Bitcoinist, wallets, exchange. What's the biggest evolution you have seen in crypto till now, and what hasn't changed at all?
Oh, that's a good question. Before I answer it, just one follow up in regards to Uncle Rockstar there. So I think Jack Mollers has this super famous saying: "Why should one man work for something that another man prints for free?" Just to reflecting back on fiat, right? I mean, with what's happening today with inflation and the U.S. dollar and whatnot, like I absolutely love the fact that you're handing out money. As a matter of fact, I once met someone who was doing something similar. He was handing out like $1 bills, and he stamped every single dollar that fiat is fake money and buy Bitcoin. That was like he literally like stamped all those dollar bills with that. But getting back to your question, I think what has changed, I think the industry have changed tremendously since the ETFs, and the ETFs coming on board changed the industry in a way that we were sort of like waiting for it, because we were waiting for the bigger players to arrive. And I think like the best way to sort of explain that is the big players, whether we like it or not, their money made this industry more legit. Like they legitimized the industry, because now you get to go to Miami or you get to go to Las Vegas to a conference, and when at the border they ask you, like the immigration officer asks you like, what are you here for? you can say, well, I'm here for, this Bitcoin conference. Before that, I was like, well, I'm here for holiday, right? I was like concerned to tell them about this, magic internet money and what sort of event I'm going to, because like, before the Trump administration, like we truly had a terrible time with Biden, and they had like this choke point um, against our industry. But now you can go to a Bitcoin conference, and you can literally have the president of the United States to do a keynote presentation, or you can have his son to speak. You can have Larry Fink from BlackRock. Like, that is, I think, the biggest change. And I'm not saying like it's a big giant innovation, to be honest with you, because ETFs are not like super advanced stuff, but it is something that has happened and that has changed this whole industry tremendously.
Yeah, and I would add to that, to build on top of what you're saying. I think the biggest issue with all of that happening are people's egos.
Yeah.
We all have a role to play in hyper Bitcoinization of our society, because we all know world will be a better place once state and money are separated. But what we all need to also realize, and maybe it's easier for me as a cypherpunk, because as a cypherpunk you do want to focus on privacy, on cryptography, on technology. You don't need to be that much in spotlight, but it's super hard for people that are in spotlight, that are promoters of Bitcoin. They see themselves as a spokespeople for Bitcoin. They are that, and then Trump comes along, and suddenly you're obsolete, because why should I promote Bitcoin when now I have Donald Trump pumping our bags? Right? It's so much better that President of America goes and talks about Bitcoin and people listen to that than they listen to me, because I will also, it's better for me, because I will get people who actually care about technology and my own knowledge and experience to listen, and then it will be more substantial conversation. But for a lot of people that were like Roger, very popular, very in the spotlight in 2014, 2015, they were the driving force behind Bitcoin. It's super hard to be like, okay, uh, your time is up. You need to move aside and let younger people with more energy lead. And that's the biggest problem I had looking back on Roger, is because he just wouldn't quit. He would keep being a blocker for people, amazing people who had lots of talent, lots of capability. He would keep blocking them with his nonsense and his lost battles. And luckily, we are past that. He's also, I'm glad that he no longer has that trouble with IRS and all that stuff. That's finished. So, man, maybe he should become an uncle, start the retirement, be like Uncle Rockstar, travel around, yeah, make good moments with people around the
Uncle,
world.
tell me this, that you always say you always describe Bitcoin as a mirror for personal growth and low time
Yeah.
preference. How can, or rather, how has the fully embracing Bitcoin standard has changed your life, your daily habit, decisions, and your outlook in life? Have you seen a change?
I think it made a change on all of us, is because once you genuinely choose Bitcoin, you're not just choosing Bitcoin, you're choosing your group of people. Like, I wouldn't be in this group if there weren't Bitcoin. And now I'm in this group. We're having a great conversation. I'm learning from Matt about his experience with Bitcoin.com. How could I ever, man, reach you and hear your insight if it weren't for Bitcoin? And for most
What?
people, yeah, it's like, it's even too much, man. Right? Because you start talking like every day, it consumes you. And then I guess it's, for a lot of people, then it is, can you at least capture enough of the value that you're producing so that that value sustains you, because anyone that captured enough value in Bitcoin 10 years ago, they're fine. They're retired. But people that contributed, and by the chance, by the circumstances, they were maybe exploited by someone like Roger. They didn't get their own nest of 10, 100 Bitcoin, however much. That's what I dislike, and that's maybe one of my side quests as a Bitcoin uncle, to see how those people can be helped. Because at the end of the day, again, when Bitcoin is at 800K, 1 million, $10 million, we will all be fine. But we need to make sure that we stay focused on Bitcoin and our personal development, because also money is one of the best tools for truth, and Bitcoin is the best form of money humanity has invented. So as much as you enjoy also your time in Bitcoin and relationships and all that, at the end of the day, you also need to find a way to capture part of that value through money, through Bitcoin, because otherwise, maybe it's a hallucination, maybe it's a mirage, maybe a person that says that they like you, they're just padding their own Bitcoin stack instead of sharing some of that value with you. So to
That is exactly Furuk's story in Dubai. He's going out on dates every day, but they only turn out to be gold diggers. But then I need to tell this to everybody who's watching this, and perhaps if your parents are watching, and if they think, why Bitcoin, why not gold? Gold is great, but how are you going to carry around so much of gold? There is digital gold, yes, but then do you control it? Is it something that you can keep it under your control? That's the question, and that is exactly what Uncle Rockstar here is telling all of us. But
Just
then
to
wait,
add to that, I remember Uncle Rockstar, since we're talking about all the value that Bitcoin brings. I remember in 2024, I think we were in Hong Kong, and Uncle Rockstar had like a pancard in his hand which said, "Ordinals are retarded," and he actually met Casey, that's the core dev for Ordinals, and he actually agreed with it, and he was holding the placard with Uncle Rockstar. So do you think ordinals were actually retarded? Are you a visionary, or like what is going on, man? Like Mate, I would like to get your take on this as well.
well, Uncle Rockstar spoke the truth much before all of us were going in circles around ordinals. He told you this couple of years ago in Hong Kong. You were not listening, dude.
I was, but I want to listen to him now, and even Mate,
why don't you
you're on
go
mute.
first, my friend?
I mean, to be honest with you, I missed
But
out
we
on
are
this.
absolutely honest, and let's treat this like an Indian news debate where you can
Yeah,
actually abuse the hell out of each other.
no, I mean, honestly, like I think we have to take a look at it from quite a few different perspectives, right? Like, um, on one hand, we had the NFT craziness. Like, I just like literally thought saw something, whereas like Justin Bieber bought those Bored Ape monkeys for $2 million, and now they're worth like 20 grand or 30 grand or something like that, or other crazy transactions. Um, there's no such thing as intrinsic value. The value is in the mind of the beholder. I'm a big believer to that, right? And so at that time, he thought that this was worth $1.2 million, and whoever sold it to him was a genius. But in any case, with the ordinals, people were able to do this on Bitcoin, and other people believed in this. I think that. I personally don't have any problems with ordinals on Bitcoin. Um, because Bitcoin is one of is actually like the best and most trusted blockchain in the world, and I think it should be used more than just to store money as digital gold. I think it should actually do more than that, And if it's just, some crazy people playing around with ordinals and other people buying ordinals and creating, marketplaces and whatever, like, let them do it, right? I mean, if it's gonna increase in value, fine. If it's gonna drop in value, that's okay too. But there are two things in life that is certain, I believe. One is that somehow you have to pay taxes, or they'll make you pay taxes, and the other one that's for sure is that you're gonna die, right? So I just want to have everyone to have the freedom to play around with whatever they want. And if those are ordinals, like, that's just fine by me. I didn't touch them. I didn't make any money. I didn't, lose any bitcoins on that. I personally have no problem with them, to be honest.
There is a proverb in India that goes like, you stand next to a bull and you invite the bull to hit you. I think Furks did that on behalf of the entire ordinal community, just to him. But mate, okay. First thing, kudos to you that straight up in the stream, Uncle Rockstar just jumped up with a very important question, and he spoke about your experiences, and you, I think, like a true champion, right? Um, Acknowledged the aspects that actually went wrong, and your learnings. But I need to ask you that, the Bitcoin Cash chapter with Roger Berg, looking back, honestly, was the fork ultimately good or bad coin for the overall Bitcoin community's development?
Well, let me first focus a little bit on ordinals because I have such an amazing picture here,
I
right?
see
With
Casey. I see
Casey,
Casey.
yeah, yeah, the
First,
ordinals
in the
are
name of the
retarded.
Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, you're dead, bro.
Next
Yeah,
time, next time we bring Casey onto the podcast.
I would actually love to have conversation with him. Maybe I join on one of his podcasts. But after this photo, he realized maybe Uncle's meme magic is bigger than his. So he is not as willing to participate. Although yeah, they won that Maxi Madness. That was an interesting one. But I saw him in Las Vegas and he tripped and he fell. I was cheering on. I'm like, ordinals down, ordinals rug. Yeah, he went away. But here is my thing. Matt was saying about the two things that are certain, but taxes and that. But he forgot the third thing, and that is that NFTs will crash. So that's the third thing that's certain. NFTs have been tried on every single blockchain shitcoin. People have, you had the best of the best sharks that have done the best of the best promotions, and it still goes to zero. So it because it is a zero sum game focused on vanity. And with Justin Bieber, that's a myth, a lie, mirage. That thing he didn't bought it; it was gifted to him at that value. I don't know if he ever collected it. Uh, so the thing is, ordinals are retarded because every time people try NFTs, it always ends up the same way, and it will end up the same way because it is a zero sum game. And now we can discuss how all of us individually approach that because there are people on one side of the spectrum that are extremely toxic, extremely aggressive towards anyone that is even mentioning NFTs. And then there are people on opposite side of the spectrum who are like, I know it's a scam. I'm trying to make money off of it. What Uncle is mostly interested here are majority of people that should realize that on average, you are going to lose 90% of your money. That's it. And the reason why Bitcoin is as successful as it is because we all know in quote unquote crypto, all the scammers on shitcoins, what they do to people. Like I still get invitations. You remember the ICO area? Join this Telegram group. We print tokens, we dump it on retail and make money. And because I'm nice guy, respond to people's messages. I tell them like, listen, I don't need that in my karma. What it's someone loses $10,000 of their savings, so I get $1,000. Like, screw that.
You know,
So
just I'm sorry, just want to add on to whatever you're saying is absolutely true. But then Uncle Roger, sorry, Uncle Uncle Roger,
you'll make him into uncle, right, Matt? Like you'll become
Uncle
uncle,
Rockstar, not Uncle
Uncle
Roger.
Roger.
Uncle Rockstar. It's not about $10,000. It's about the way I would like to look at it is the guys who actually have $20, $50,
Yeah,
which perhaps for them could be a, a day's outing, or something that they have kind of saving up to give something to their parents, or the stuff like that. And by the way, guys, for everybody watching this, I've worked with celebrities all my life as a master of ceremonies, as as an event director. Let me tell you something: celebrities do not buy anything on their own. Let me repeat this: celebrities do not buy anything on their own. It could be a plane ticket. You see them traveling in business class. They haven't paid from their own wallet. You see the cool bags that they're wearing. It is gifted. You see the cool stuff that they have, could be NFTs. Well, it's been airdropped to them, because then you, me, or somebody else, as a founder of that project or a founder of that brand, or the person who's organizing the event, we would actually go ahead and bear that cost, and then use that as a PR opportunity. See, we are sitting here and talking about Justin Bieber, or we can talk about Boat Ape Yacht Club, where there are a lot of celebrities being mentioned there, Eminem, and so on. Please remember that everything is a PR game. What you see is not what is the reality. Coming back to Mate, my question to you was, how has the Bitcoin Cash chapter impacted the Bitcoin community?
I on average I love it, honestly, because even before Bitcoin Cash, you had that Vitalik needed to fork from Bitcoin to Ethereum, and then what would we do if Vitalik stayed in Bitcoin? We would have so much conflict, all the woke movement, craziness, proof of work is boiling the oceans, and other FUD. So it's amazing to have forks from that perspective. So it mirrors really the way evolution works, and I love it. Like, you have a way for conflicts to be resolved by, okay, we'll go this side, you go this side, like this way. The thing that I don't like about fork and what happened is we lost some good people. There were amazing Bitcoiners that then became B cashers, or however you call it. Jihan Wu lost a fortune, personal, and his companies. Bitmain is still around, but it will never be a juggernaut it could have been if only they would have stayed part of consensus. But Jihan was actually the biggest funder behind Bitcoin Cash, right? They even got so far that they only accepted BCH for their minor orders. So that's the part I dislike, because conflict breeds conflict, and some of the people got so deep into the conflict that their ego just couldn't get them over the hump of, like what Matt, you were saying, like, okay, I was wrong. There are people who still hold grudges against, say, Adam Back or Carvalho or whoever, and that prevents them from being part of Bitcoin and pouring their life force into Bitcoin, which is a shame, because as long as person is quality person, we're all better by them participating in the system. And you're muted, mate.
I agree. I have to add to that. Like, I couldn't agree more, to be honest. I think one particular idea that I just came to my mind is that all those and we don't know, and I don't have any exact details, but I think like all those forks and all those arguments and all those fights, there should be one outcome, is that all those should make Bitcoin better. If those are challenging, the core developers, if those are challenging the people submitting BIPs, everything should just basically taking into consideration that should make Bitcoin better. Um, you know, and the same thing with honestly with Paul Stort's eCash fork that's coming up in August, right? Like he says, like, I don't think there's going to be ever much consensus in Bitcoin. I don't think that those guys will ever want anything to be accomplished. So I'm taking my actions into my own hands, and the market will decide. Because eventually he's a big proponent of BIP 300 and 301, right? And he even said, like, I'm gonna fork Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin later actually implements BIP 300, then all it was worth it, right? I don't think that's gonna be the case in terms of that BIP 300 proposal, but in any ways, like, it will just make Bitcoin better, because maybe someone in Bitcoin Core, or maybe some of the big money BlackRock, or David Bailey with Naka will actually just say, okay, let's get all these people back together, get in a room, and try to come up with something that would make Bitcoin better when it comes to governance, when it comes to those upgrades. And there's nothing to lose, from these forks. You just get free money.
Well, people lose their reputation, but otherwise, I
mean,
agree.
Right.
Yeah, it's Bitcoin is an ego test, and you gotta know when you are called to lead and when you're called to follow. Because if you can do that, if you can pass the ego test, it will be amazing for you long term. So
So,
just don't get Bitcoin derangement syndrome. That's the worst.
That's a
yeah, that's
good
true.
one.
But
Bitcoin deranged syndrome is an amazing takeaway. Mate, Fulks was actually talking to me about BP, sorry, BIP.
BIP 361, like the Bitcoin
Yes.
Improvement Proposal 361, that sort of focuses on the quantum resistant nature of Bitcoin, and they want to freeze all the Satoshi era Bitcoins. Like, I don't really understand how this will, benefit Bitcoin as per the BIP 361. I really don't get it. I just wanted to put it out there, because if quantum computers are coming for sure, but the banks go first. But when it reaches Bitcoin, I mean, is this the way we want to go ahead with that threat, or do you see quantum threat like years away from where we are right now?
Decades. No, and I can tell you who it benefits. It benefits these VC funded quantum FUD companies. Like in Vegas, man, I got approached to invest in this one VC. Will make Bitcoin quantum resistant VC funded company. And they were like, we're excited to have you as an investor. We're raising 25 million on 300, post valuation. I'm like, absolutely, guys. Like, I'm going to invest. Like, what's your revenue? If they don't have any clients, anything, they're raising $25 million. So it's the latest round of FUD
Hype.
hype. It's like
Yeah.
ICOs. What I think is useful is if we can redirect any of that money to developers that are already working on quantum resistance in Bitcoin, and that would be very useful, because all that needs to happen in Bitcoin is that you have opt-in mechanism for quantum resistant signatures, and we will be fine. And that's something that can be added without much fuss. The only problem is that is now the right time to do it, because the cryptographic methods and signatures have been evolving. So we could have already implemented quantum resistant signatures on top of Bitcoin, but technology that was there 3 years ago is 10 times worse than the technology we will have now. So I think this part is being handled by people that are even getting grants to work on this. And we as a community just need to properly support it. And then if someone wants to have fun with Nick Carter and other VCs pumping their bags through quantum fund and Bitcoin, yeah, that's when we participate.
Yeah,
But then isn't
Mate,
the quantum threat real? And it is going to take over everything that we can even talk about, right? What can, there are a couple of guys who actually claim to be quantum proof blockchain. I don't know how far that is true. Until unless we test it, we don't know. Till
I
then,
mean,
it's just a theory.
it's listen, it's almost like you didn't hear Matt. Like, there are three things that are certain, taxes, debts, and NFTs will rug. But there's a is the sun expanding and consuming a solar system a threat? Yes, it is. In how many, like 2 billion years? The quantum, it is a threat, but are we looking at the threat in a decade? Are we looking at it in a century? The bigger
What is your
threat,
prediction here? When do you think there is a quantum threat?
there is no quantum threat within the next decade. And the
I
bigger
agree.
threat is actually that people working on quantum right now in Bitcoin are not properly supported. That's way bigger threat than any kind of quantum research papers. So we need to, as Chamat likes to say, like, what's below your line. So you gotta structure the information, and yeah, to me, way bigger threat than quantum are quantum researchers in Bitcoin that are not properly supported.
Fair, fair. That's a very good point. But then, mate and uncle both are telling me over here on this live stream at Aura8 that quantum is a threat in the next 10 years and not in the next 2 years.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
I
in
agree.
next 10 years, way bigger threat is that none of the quantum money reaches you, Vali. So I gotta work, like, that's also on my list. Like, the bigger
That,
one are the
that,
developers,
that is
but
the
that
biggest
money needs to
threat.
reach you as well. Yeah.
So, the way we all are functioning and the way this is working, mate, let me ask you this. The Wall Street's ETF and big banks are all over Bitcoin right now. Congratulations, uncle, mate. You guys have got the ultimate validation for this. It is truly epic, you know. Or do you think, or are we selling out the original cypherpunk dream, Uncle Rockstar? Are we a sellout?
Well, I think it's individual choice. Do you want to sell yourself? Yeah, and we're all selling ourselves by
Well, I
being
am a media
aggressive.
creator. I am a sellout. You pay me money and we get you online.
Yeah, but that's like, okay, it is also like, what is your price? What are the goals that you're pursuing? Because I've had accusations that by working on Strike and not, which is closed sourced and not BTC Pay server, I am a sellout. So I think this is where each one of us needs to focus on their own individual truth and what it is that you're pursuing. So for me, cypherpunk ideals will always come as you're showing first. So, and everything rest, I these banks and people like Sailor, they're joining Bitcoin. Hey, from my perspective, they are creating and adding value. So they have their own lane. I have mine. Let's go.
and I have a question for Mate. Um, I mean, you all have been like strong believers of the opcat code that was disabled by Satoshi himself. What if, since you guys are at the forefront of it at opcat labs with you and especially Xiao, Bruce, So, if opcat code gets re-enabled, if we have like a consensus within the miners, do you think how will it benefit Bitcoin? And will quantum proofing be possible? And the real question about programmability on Bitcoin that has settlement on the Bitcoin blockchain itself. Will that be possible with that opcat code? Since you guys are at the forefront of it, so I
Yeah, I
wanted
mean,
to
I mean,
understand.
honest, like absolutely. Like the way I look at it is that when I first got into Bitcoin, I used Bitcoin on a daily basis, and I paid a bunch of things with it, and I transacted with it almost every day. A lot of people still claim that they transact with Bitcoin, on a daily basis. As a matter of fact, I hear that a lot of people are using it in Venezuela and third world countries, but mostly on Lightning Network, which is, I guess, fine too, because they don't have much other options. Um, I still on the stance that Bitcoin is almost a $2 trillion asset class. That most of it is just sitting there idle and it's not being really used. And I think Bitcoin finance, as it is, in its current shape or form, is not where it's supposed to be. And the reason why opcat enablement would be great is because, like you said, everything would happen on chain, on layer one, trustless, no bridge, no nonsense, no nothing. Everything would be basically backed by the proof of work mechanism, by the greatest blockchain mankind has ever seen. So I'm a big believer that would make Bitcoin much better, and people would use a lot of Bitcoin finance applications, services, products. So that's part of the reason, like, why I got so excited about it in the first place.
Yeah,
Interesting.
right. I understand.
Let's talk about all the Bitcoin education that is happening around on easy and on ramping. It's still huge. What do you think is the next chapter for Bitcoin and the whole ecosystem? Uh, like, how do we bring in the next million people? ETFs have done a great job, but then it is still, perhaps not in the true essence of decentralization.
Honestly, like I don't think that and I don't think that Uncle Rockstar is going to like this, to be honest with you. And I had this panel discussion in Las Vegas about it. And then the fact that most people are onboarded in today's sort of crypto world through ETFs. On one hand, it's good to the industry. On the other hand, it is so easy for them to get onboarded in a way where they are not holding their own keys, is sort of losing the whole purpose of what Bitcoin and crypto is all about, right? Like the famous saying, not your keys, not your coins, right? But the harsh truth is that a lot of people don't even understand what that means. A lot of people don't even care about what that is. And I think, we just have to let them live with it, right? Because if Binance gets hacked today, I'm pretty sure Uncle Rockstar is going to have just a sound sleep because he's not really keeping his coins there, right? And I will have a sound sleep as well. If BlackRock gets hacked, the smart money isn't really going to have a sound sleep, right? So at the end of the day, it's really your decision, right? Do you want to get educated regarding that? Like, are you smart enough to make millions of dollars and then invest into Bitcoin, but you're not fucking smart enough to write down 24 words on a piece of paper, uh, and put it in a safe place, whereas like you just give it to like third party custodians because you believe Coinbase is never going to get hacked, or BlackRock is never going to get hacked, right? Honestly, we live in a world like it's your choice. I don't care. It's not going to be good for Bitcoin if Binance or Coinbase or BlackRock gets hacked, but Bitcoin isn't going, that's not going to be the end of the world. All it's going to mean that Bitcoin probably drops in value, and then Uncle Rockstar, me, you, and Ferk, we can just scoop up some cheap tokens, and then let the market recover, and then we'll just be happy.
And for me, really, I think the next big expansion of Bitcoin adoption is through AI. If you even query AI right now on which money it prefers, it says Bitcoin, because uh, there were some discussions in Bitcoin that there is discrimination here, discrimination there. That's all us humans with our ego painting picture the way we wanted. The Bitcoin is such a great money for another reason, is that it can't even discriminate whether you're a human or not. So Bitcoin is the only money that AI can use without being subjected to system of control of humans. And that's why AI will be doing for AI especially. It's easy what you were telling, Matt. 24 words or even 12 words is secure.
Yeah.
It can generate it like this, and it can hold value on its own, self custody. So I think that's the next big wave of adoption. And for humans, really, like, if you're not already in Bitcoin, get in while you still can. And I would advise not even go too much into technical details, but find what and who, more importantly, is the voice in Bitcoin that speaks to you, and then connect with that person, with that group, and move forward. Because the biggest mistake people make is just they keep being stuck in their own little world. Don't do that. There are so many people in Bitcoin willing to come together as we have today, and find those groups for you. Listen to Vali's podcasts and streams, and find your voice, find your group.
Damn, that is a very expensive endorsement. I don't think I can afford that, Uncle Rockstar. But thank you
No.
so much. There is one thing that Uncle Rockstar said, and I truly believe in this: that there are about 7 billion people in the world. Consider there is 1 billion plus people who are extremely tech savvy, and they have a smartphone. Right? Forget being tech savvy; they have a smartphone. And if you have a smartphone, you are going to have at least two agents. So imagine, right? 1 billion people, 2 billion agents. How do you think they are going to transact? It is crypto, but then Uncle Roger says Bitcoin. I don't know how far we will want to actually buy things on Bitcoin. What Lazio did like a few years ago. We are around May 22nd. But I don't think we can actually afford that any longer. However, the biggest expansion of crypto and the users will not be new users. It will actually be AI agents who will take over crypto wallets and do transaction on their own. And that is what I'm looking at. We are almost an hour in. Can I please, out of the greed of great conversations, can we continue this for a little longer, or Uncle and Matt, folks, you guys have to leave?
I can stay, but I don't know if Matt can.
I gotta bounce, guys, but please continue the conversation, and then I truly look forward to jump back in for another show and continue with you guys.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
All right, see you guys.
Thank you so
Yes,
much,
bye-bye.
Tokay.
Bye.
We
Bye-bye.
can, reschedule. It would be, I think, a really interesting show if we can talk about the lessons from block size wars, because I can maybe get some people. I'll get Adam back to watch and comment,
Thank you.
message him because he's mentioned.
Thank you so much. In fact, what we should also do is, bring in more interesting people, have more conversations around Bitcoin maxis and ETH maxis. It'll be a very interesting conversation because we do this every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We do it every single day, 8 p.m. The objective is to keep the conversation going. The objective is keep the action going. But Uncle, I want to ask you something. Is Bitcoin
Sure.
still truly decentralized? And the reason why I'm asking you this question, let
Hmm.
me let me back it up with Michael Slayer holding
Hmm.
that amount of bitcoins, with BlackRock holding it. Tomorrow, God forbidding, if they dump their tokens, yes, we get a lower price action. We are happy, but are we confident any longer on Bitcoin if that happens?
I absolutely am. Can you name me any of the shit coins that is more decentralized than Bitcoin? There are none. They're like, what are our
If you're
alternatives? There are
asking,
none.
if you're
I have,
asking me
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
search,
Give me your.
like in a blind school, look for somebody who can partially view, it is clearly Bitcoin, right? But then, but then nobody has claimed to be truly decentralized and stayed for this long. So, as people in the media, I think we have the opportunity to question everything, even something
Yeah.
that is perhaps on the face level that says, this is what it is. But then the kind of Bitcoin that they have, it is insane, right? Insane. I'm glad they do. That is why the price action has moved here. But then, these people can actually go back in time and buy more. By which I mean is that they can crash the price a little more if they want, and then get more bitcoins at a lower price. And all of that is clearly possible because at the end of the day, these are companies that have to show a profit and loss statement. And I'm sorry, I use the wrong word. These are the companies that have to show a profit statement to the investors because they have a reputation, they have a brand to maintain. So, Uncle,
Well, I would question that even when it comes to MicroStrategy. Does Sailor really need to explain himself to anyone? When you look at what he has done and how much Bitcoin he has purchased on credit, this doesn't seem like a guy with tens of billions of dollars. That there is someone he needs to go like, oh, my dear shareholders, here is my profit statement. I really see that for most people, it's just you gotta sit down and be able to say that you're wrong. And again, I repeat, Bitcoin is an ego test. When 10 years ago, when Bitcoin was at what, like $500, people were like, oh, let me wait until it drops to $100 and then I'm going to buy. Man, in 10 years, will it really matter whether you purchased your Bitcoin at zero point 0.7 million or zero point 0.5 million? Or it's not even 0.7, 0.5. I mean, no, it's 0.07 or 0.05. It won't matter. We all know that governments will keep lying. They will keep printing more money. They will say, oh, we just need 1 trillion more for this peace operation. We're attacking this country to, resolve conflict and this and that. So money printing will continue, chaos will continue. The only stable signal in all of that will be Bitcoin. And can Bitcoin be better? Yes, absolutely. But there is no alternative. And that part of Bitcoin being better, let's all of us individually that are in Bitcoin, that are Bitcoiners, let's solve those problems. Let's support each other. And it's not only that we'll do it from the goodness of our hearts, it's that we will be handsomely rewarded, as Uncle can show from his history of staying a true believer, and for example not getting lost in all the shit coins that were promising 10x, 100x, whatever.
couple of
So
years ago, I met a meme coin trader, and I think this was in Bangkok, and he told me the only objective of trading meme coins is to make the bag and buy more Bitcoin.
Yes, yes, your exit liquidity for more Bitcoin. You see, North Korean hackers, they hack Ethereum because it has shitty tech, and then they turn it into Bitcoin. so, that's what I'm telling you. You don't need to outrun a bear. You need to outrun like the slowest person. And Bitcoin was, is, and still will be the king. So instead of focusing on negatives, focus on positives. Again, find that voice that speaks to you in Bitcoin. Find that group where you're not even trying. Like when I say, hey, strike, of course, I was working, I was putting in the effort, but it was effortless when you're part of good group like that to make money in the long term. So that's what people need to do. They need to stop trying to adjust reality to themselves. They need to adjust themselves to reality, and the reality is that Bitcoin is king. Leverage that and move forward.
Yeah, all that hacked money goes back into the GDP of North Korea. That's another story. But
That's a good
so
one.
I don't know how good Michael Saylor's borrow money to buy Bitcoin strategy is, but I don't think I'll suggest that to anybody to just borrow and then buy Bitcoin with it. I don't know because it has not been proven. But there's Peter Schiff who always keeps on calling out on Saylor, calling it the biggest pyramid
Yeah, yeah,
scheme of the century. And on every post when strategy announces that they've bought more Bitcoin, you see the first comment by Peter. He's just shitting on him, man, left, right, and
yeah, yeah,
center. And he says that in around 2016, 2017, Michael Saylor was actually against Bitcoin, and now
yeah. He
suddenly
was.
it just shifted around, and now he's carrying the biggest pyramid scheme. All of you are going to get wrecked. What do you think about his point of view? He keeps pushing people towards buying more gold, and something that's more tangible. I don't know how tangible that is, but yeah.
Folks, you will
I
get blacklisted in India if you ask that question again. Indian
All right.
housewives and
I
Indian
know.
households have got more gold reserve than any part of the world.
Yeah, I mean, they have an amazing government, so that keeps national currency very valuable. So I mean, they're like trying to save their life. Yeah, shout out to everyone in India. I hope we get on Bitcoin standard. Peter Schiff, he's one of my favorite Bitcoiners. No, like he has done such an amazing job promoting Bitcoin ever since it was like $1, and he was like, Bitcoin is a scam. Bitcoin is like $1, and Peter Schiff. Yeah, Bitcoin is now at $80,000. Peter Schiff is still like Bitcoin is
Exactly.
this and that. So Peter, thank you for your service. Keep going. I actually told him this. We were together in San Salvador, and I was joking like, Peter, how much Bitcoin so that you finally switch teams, so you become publicly Bitcoiner. He's like, okay, how much do you offer? So we are in negotiation with Peter Schiff. We will see. Like for him, 1,000 Bitcoin. Well, we're gonna raise it, and then he becomes the. I don't even know how he could be a better Bitcoin promoter at this point, right? So love Peter, and then Sailor. Man, the whole borrowing money and buying Bitcoin is insane strategy. It's really like, Sailor even had that post. I need to find it. Where he's like, sell your organs, buy more Bitcoin. It's like, okay, Sailor is joking. Is like, the thing is, imagine like we get just one more Sailor. What would happen with price? Imagine this is just like one more Sailor at that level, and we're getting there. You see these companies. We had the wave of Bitcoin treasury companies that was insane, but out of that wave there will come out one or two companies, and then when the next upward leg starts, it will be like we saw with even recently. You remember from 60,000 USD to 120, how quickly it happened.
Yeah.
So
So if we take
again,
the 4-year cycle also into consideration, I think We are already like 7 8 months from the peak, and if you follow the 4 year cycle, so around uh, September this year, we might see the bottom. That's what, according to the 4 year cycle, that's my analysis. I mean, that's what I've been doing. So, do you think that we're still in the 4 year cycle, or is it actually over?
I don't know. I as a cypherpunk again, I don't follow that because to me, man, I really look in terms of 0.07
Yeah.
million, 0.05. It's all irrelevant because what I'm interested in is what will happen in 50 years, in 100 years. And luckily, I can afford that long term thinking. And I try to encourage more and more people to find the ways to get into positions where you can have that long term thinking because it's much easier position, much more peaceful position, and you don't need to, you know,
I'm
waste
really
time
tempted
guessing.
here. I'm really tempted here to, perhaps request Uncle Rockstar to change his name and maybe
Mhm.
call him the Bitcoin Guru, because he, you know, Uncle actually speaks with so much of calm and with so much of insights that I think a Bitcoin Guru will be a far more better name that would suit him. And the reason why I'm sure even Furki will agree, we come from the lands of Babas and Gurus, so we know, when we see one, and we can clearly see that insight in you. And of course, there is no pun intended here. There is no sarcasm here. I mean what I say, because what you have been doing with your philosophies is truly incredible. But tell me something. The last question before we go, like when you made it big in Bitcoin, did you like how did you splurge your money? Like what was the first thing that you bought, or what did you do that actually like made you feel like wow, like you buy a watch, you bought a car, you bought a house, you took your spouse or girlfriend to an exotic location. Like how did you actually enjoy your wealth? Because remember,
Wally,
Doxing.
a guru never announces or tells people that he's guru. So I don't
Yes.
think he should change his name.
No,
I
it's
think
it's taken. It's
we
taken.
can have a nickname for him.
Uh,
Yeah, it's
Crypto
Uncle.
Guru is taken. You remember this guy with
Oh yes.
yeah, the
There are
fantasy
for the first
coin.
time for the first time of this conversation, there are three Indian men on the screen.
Well, this guy got it. He is the guru. Now me, man, I when you look at my own journey with BTC Pay server and again Strike, it's been long term coming success. So what I would what I would tell to everyone listening to this and hoping for that big break and bunch of money falling onto you, it never it doesn't work like that. So what you need to do is you need to find a place where you're having fun, where you're enjoying yourself, and then you will keep profiting. Again, when we came together to create Strike, we were making money for years until now. Strike is considering a merger to go public, so everyone that's involved with Strike will get that landfall of financial reward. But my I would say like my biggest message is like do not wait for that big moment. Find a way to create those moments in every one of your days. And if you can shift your mindset from short term to long term preference, that's that's the way to go.
Great, great.
Beautiful,
Those were
beautifully said.
amazing.
In this era of finding out which token to buy next that would go 100x, the
Yeah,
most
guys.
important thing is that what are we looking at right now, and how are we going to be at peace? With that note, Uncle Rockstar, folks, thank you so much for coming in. Thank
See
you
you.
so much
Peace
for making
out.
this happen. I'm going to get you guys back on the show, Aura8, because you know what? Honestly, let me tell you this, right? When we came up with the name Aura8, because we live stream at 8 p.m., Today, Uncle Rockstar, you bought the Aura to Aura 8 because no one who's come in till now has had your Aura.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go,
Thank you. Thank
gentlemen.
you so
Nice to
much.
see you again, Uncle. Next time, a bigger dollar bill from you.
It's ready for you, man.
There you go.
Talk
100.
soon.
100 now.
We'll see. Talk
Doesn't really
soon.
matter because it's all worthless.
Okay, Fruits, I'm going to see you soon because you're in Dubai and we'll
All
see
right.
how it
Yes.
works.
See
I'll
you
take all
around,
your
guys. Bye
dirhams.
bye.
Bye-bye. Guys, what a freaking awesome conversation we had with Uncle Rockstar, with Mate, and with Furgs. The objective is to always have conversation that is path breaking. The objective is to always have conversation that would move, and this has been one of that conversations. So if you have liked it, please like, subscribe, share, do all that you need to know, and come tomorrow because tomorrow is going to be another interesting stream right here on Aura 8, brought to you by Kryptonite UAE. Unfortunately, we missed our co-host Sarah. She had to attend to a family emergency. It is what it is.